we are becoming estranged from the world in which we live. And this not rightness is palpable by everyone. Even those who were hoping for positive change through the dismantling of the administrative state don't like so much change all at once. Even the change is changing. No, I'm sure you can feel it. Not just the Trump-Musk weirdness, but the weirdness all around. Something is up, and I know my fellow humans are feeling the juju, the synchronicities. This concrescence of novelty and almost forced perspective on history, like looking down an infinite spiral staircase and then up. Where are we really? What moment of the story is this? I keep hearing on TV how quickly the Nazis took over once they were in power, how Trump is following the playbook of Hungary's Viktor Orbán, and how these descents into right-wing control tend to last a few decades. But this doesn't feel so much like the beginning of something than the end, a concrescence, the peak of a bad trip, popping the global zit off Gaia's face. What if the 40-year cycle of right-wing ideological rule is what we've actually been living through? It started with the election of Ronald Reagan, the original movie star president, promising to literally make America great again. That was his slogan in his 1980 campaign against Jimmy Carter, the last gasp of the hippie left, who pardoned draft dodgers and hung out with Bob Dylan at the governor's mansion, and who had pot-smoking Willie Nelson over to the solar-powered White House. Reagan was the beginning of a neoliberal pro-corporate swing that included not only George Bush, but the Democrats. Bill Clinton was no George McGovern, but a welfare reformer and a proponent of global markets, not to mention womanizer and intern fondler. The WTO protests of Seattle were during his presidency. Barack Obama jokingly but readily admitted that his policies were close to those of Ronald Reagan. And he proved it by calling on Goldman Sachs to fix the mortgage and banking crisis of 2008. Biden was actually the closest thing to a reprieve from neoliberalism, but that's only because the country was nearly collapsed from the COVID pandemic and needed some old-fashioned government intervention to jumpstart the economy and keep people, alive. Now, we're back to the trajectory we were on. And it's peaking in the most obvious way it could, with the richest corporatist in America, Putin is actually richer than Musk, running the country. So what if the Musk-Trump anti-administration is actually the peak of that neoliberal phase, the exponential limit, rather than the beginning of something worse? What if they create such a cascade of weirdness that the seemingly tepid liberal response to this authoritarian drag show actually pales in comparison to the imminent revolt by red state America against a digital pyramid scheme they know will not include them?